All right, I hereby call to order the Jefferson County Regional Planning Commission. Having a quorum present, we will proceed. I would ask the members if they had an opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting. Any changes or correction, please note. Otherwise, I'm looking for approval. Got a motion to approve? And a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Do we have any citizens input tonight before the Planning Commission? All right, being none, we'll proceed to new business. The first item is a preliminary plat review for a 15-lot subdivision to be located at Harrison Ferry Road and Windjammer Road, White Pine, by Chad and Reagan Long. Come on up, Chad. Okay.
Mr. Long, go ahead and,
Well, this preliminary plat that
I'm sorry, Tim's
Yeah,
going to
got it.
represent it.
R1 property we did, I don't know, several months ago, we rezoned it to R1. He's coming back to preliminary to cut up 17 lots. Me and David went up and looked at the property today. I didn't see a problem with it. I don't know about David.
Do you have any comments, Mr. Long, on the proposal?
Yes, sir.
I guess it speaks for itself. Most of the lots will come off of Harrison Ferry Road, and there will be 3 that come off of Windjammer Road. Like Tim said, we went out and looked at the property. I didn't see any issues with the property that would indicate any potential problems. It looked like actually it would probably have good soils, and it was topographically suitable for subdivision. So anyway, I have no problem with the preliminary. Of course, you'll have to come back with a final plat showing, having septic system approval and all that sort of thing for the plat. So anyway,
Okay.
I could recommend for approval if, but you may want to discuss it further.
Okay. Questions? It's pretty straightforward. What we got here. All the lot sizes meet all the square footage is over the minimum square footage. Actually, some of them, the lots in there are actually right at it, over an acre. Looks like one in there over.
Yeah, part of it's a little smaller.
Well, it's R1, yeah, so they can go down, but yeah, he's got some in there that's even.
We talked about flag lots. There's 3 or 4 of those, but currently they're allowed, and there's going to be driveways off of a public road, whatever way you slice the bread.
The other thing too is, if you look, which is nice, is that at least the lots that we got on the road down through there, some of them are right around 120 to 110, which gives you more room to get a house in. So
Exactly.
that was a good thing.
Most of the property is a field. There's some wooded area over here near the corner of Harrison Ferry and Windjammer Road intersection.
Okay. Any questions for David or Chad?
This is a preliminary.
It's preliminary,
Preliminary,
yes.
yes, sir.
So
Make motion we approve.
I got a proper motion. I have a second.
I'll say.
Second. Now, any discussion? Okay. Being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay. All right.
Give Chad those copies. You need one more.
Yeah, I'll keep this
Should
one.
give him.
Can we? I don't see any reason why not.
I need to keep one to make sure the final complies substantially with
We have
the
one officer.
preliminary. That's the reason for
Absolutely, no
that.
problem.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on. Are you ready to go? Next time, Dave. Next one is proposed resolution amending the subdivision regulations of Jefferson County, Tennessee to require all lots to have suitable building sites and good road access.
I don't know if this is premature. We've been talking about subdivision regulations along at the same time we've been talking about the this plan, and we've come to several conclusions on what we might like to, what we, I think, have agreed on that we'd like to have in future subdivision developments, which, in order for that to happen, would need to be in the subdivision regulations themselves. In other words, the subdivision regulations would need to be amended. And I'd like you all to take a look at this and see if this is in agreement with what we've discussed. I've bolded the new language.
First thing I see is, and I don't know why we can't get it in there. We can't get that 7% in there. This is twice this thing's come back to us and it's been took out. And it's
As
clear.
far as the slope of the.
No,
As far as the amount of the lot is supposed to be 7% of the building of the lot is supposed to be building area.
Oh, okay.
And we've said that over and over.
Does that need to be in the building site?
Yes.
Yeah, just make sure you put that in there. Oh, you got 10%.
Now he's got 10% slopes,
yeah, that's the slope.
but we
Oh, okay.
we talked about it, we've talked about it
Needs to
several
be
times.
needs to be
Dave.
at least 7%
It don't
of,
matter how big the lot is, it's got to be 7%, and it cannot be any smaller than 30 by 40.
Yeah,
okay.
so, you know, they got to get to 7%, but then it's,
They can't just make it as like this tape.
yeah,
It's got to be 7%, and it cannot be, the dimensions of that 7% cannot be any smaller than 30 by 40.
Okay, I'll reword that. Thank you.
okay,
David, you got another one of those?
which is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Which means that the 1,002 basically is not included that when, on lake lots when you're looking at it because, well, truthfully, that probably helps them to a certain extent. No, it wouldn't either, it hurt them. Because you add that 7% in there on what's below, they'd have to have a whopper of a site then. If you took the overall acreage, what's below, I mean, you could have
Well, if you
18.
added- yeah, if you added
You
what-
could have 18 acres below, and if you had 7% of that, it could take everything you got above 1,002. So, yeah, so that's a good thing that we did, yeah, we're helping them there. They may think we're hurting them, but we're
The
helping them.
10,002 has been in place for many, many, many years.
Yeah, yeah,
Long before I came.
okay, all right.
I highlighted the part in an arrangement about the 50 feet and flag lots and that sort of thing. I highlighted it so it would be readily visible near the bottom of the page.
Okay, so
That's subject to our discussion, and, but I wanted to point it out and make sure, that's not necessarily the route we're going, I get it, but I put that in there for discussion.
okay, so we know we have to have 50 feet no matter what. Okay. So you're just saying basically flag lots are not even gonna be allowed anymore.
Well, that's one thing we discussed.
We did.
And I don't know if we're gonna stick to that or not stick with it, but I put it in here for discussion. The other part right here in front of that, on a road proposed for public acceptance, that would be one that was being in a subdivision development. You know, we'd be creating lots, not we, but the developer would be creating lots on a subdivision where there's a proposed road or roads, and they would have to have 50 feet on that. And And then the flag lots part that says are not allowed, that's what we need to discuss, whether we want to do that or have conditions.
Well, one thing is that if we don't have the flag lots, then we don't need the 25-foot easement, because it can't come into play.
And then, as I've said 40 times, you're penalizing that family.
Well, here's what it's not so much the flag lots, but I think that we need some conditions on them. And I think the way you control them is that you control the stem. You only say that the stem can only be 75 feet. Okay, so what that's going to do is that may help your local family, but your developer, that sort of limits him to a certain extent, because when you think about it, if he only goes 75 feet back, and let's say he's in an A1 zone, he's got to have right at an acre lot, then you take 43,000 divided by 75, then his other lot on the road is going to have to get that in there, is going to be big. I mean, it's going, he's looking at 400 foot of, eating up 400 foot of road frontage, which is basically 4 lots. So it doesn't, it makes it to no advantage to him to do a flag lot, because if we say that the stem can only be so long, then that reduces the road frontage lots, because they still got to meet the minimum size. Does that make sense? So if I got a lot here, and I'm gonna have a stem lot that comes back here behind, and I'm saying that this right here, that stem can only be 75 feet. All right, so this is in an A1 zone, and we're looking at what, 40,000
square feet.
So you take 40,000 divided by 75, that's how much road frontage you gotta have to make this lot work. So
40,000 divided by 100 is got to be 400.
400. So he's,
So that means he's got to be 4 1/4 or 4
right, and we all,
calculator out.
so what you've done is that he getting a lot, but here on his road frontage, it cost him 4 100-foot lots. Now, that's not, to me, that's not
533.33.
feet. So if you do the stem and you say you set it there 75 or 100 as far as it can come back off the road, then when he's subdividing the rest of his property down through here, and then the other thing is on the stems is that we can also set a distance as between them, as far as how long they want to, I mean, how many they can get in between them. So that cuts
Did
down
we
your
not talk
driveways.
about the driveway, the driveway was gonna make the driveways so far apart,
Well, we can, and if you do this, that's what I'm
it
saying.
gotta be like,
But I'm still saying if you do the 75 feet, that's probably that's gonna be a deterrent sort of to doing stem lots. All right, but then you also need to put in there the distance between those 75s to cut down on your driveways.
yeah, because that was one of the main things we was aiming at, is to get away from what was happening
On stems.
on that, like going up Colwell Road.
Yes, yeah.
Where they just lined them up and cut them up off the
Yeah,
county roads.
because what he had was he was just doing 100-foot lots, and then he would have the 50, and then he would get two off of that. Okay, so my thing is that if you shut down, if you put a limit on the stem at 75 feet, and you're in an A1 zone, then that says this next lot here has to have 535 feet of road frontage just to make that lot. Well, that's 5 lots. So he's going to say, so you're telling me I'm going to have to give up 5 lots to get two, end up with 3? So to me, the stem length and the distance between stems is what I think can control it.
What about the driveways on the lots going up the roads?
Well,
If you make them be 200 foot apart, or 203 feet apart, or something that makes that lot where you cannot cut those lots at 100 foot. If you make it like it's got to be 210 foot on a driveway,
So in other words, you're saying on
then
it,
that makes them have to stretch those lots out, or if you can make them 300. In other words, there can't be any drives closer than 300s put in on a county road.
okay, so you just want to do that on the county road then?
On the county,
Okay.
they put anything they want to on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
internal road that they're putting in.
Okay,
Because that's doing what we want to do. That's making them go inside the subdivision so they come out down here at a single point. Or 2 points of the subdivision. What we don't want was 38 driveway houses down this county road that's got no shoulders, that's 18 foot wide, and all of a sudden, we're dumping all that traffic, and we have the potential to dump another 38 cars or 60 cars or whatever it is on the other side of that road. And we're stacking them up down through. We're creating a disaster is what we're doing.
okay, so basically what we're saying is that before, all we were required was 50 foot of frontage. But you're saying now if you're gonna do off of existing road, that the minimum is gonna have to be 200?
But the driveways can be no closer. No, they gotta be an odd number, Terry. Because a 100-foot lot, that means you're just straight, they gotta be, if for they put the roads.
Yeah, but here's what because once we approve this, okay, we don't have any control over tell them where the driveway goes on.
It can be fine. But the lots have to be, they can't have a lot that'll have a driveway any closer.
How do you tell them?
I don't know, but I'm trying to figure out a way to cut them lots down and make them go inside. That's the whole purpose of this thing. I like the STEM idea.
Well,
That cuts them down, that gets them to go into an internal road, and you come to an ingress and egress point
Yeah.
of that subdivision. And that's what we need to be doing. We don't need to be having a subdivision that's made off a county road.
I think the only way you can do that is make the width of the lots wider. You can't tell them where to put the driveway.
all right,
That way.
I know where you're coming from, because I thought,
I know
I was
what
trying to
you're
Well,
say the
if
same thing.
you put that rule in there, then that lot, those lots will have to be 200 foot. On the county roads.
Well, if you look at the way I was doing it right here, it says that if you do a stem,
They're gonna be 533, so, I mean,
yeah,
but if the guy says, okay, I don't want to do any flag lot, any stems, whatever, I just want to line these up down through here, and then I'm gonna cut a road and put the internals in. I'm gonna put these next set of lots that are back here on an internal road in the subdivision. Then he can shrink the lots down in front, and he can stack them in there. I mean, you got D.R. Horton that stacked them in up on Beacon Road. You got Cole Road out there. You're getting, and that's, to me, that's where we're missing it, is if they're using the county roads as a subdivision. And that's what we don't want. We want to encourage them, in the nicest way, Ms. Sue,
Of course.
to go down to a single point of egress and ingress, because if each one of those houses has cars, 2 cars, wife and the husband, each got a car, kids got a car, or whatever, and you put 38 houses up through there,
and you got 38 driveways.
you got 38 driveways, you got 2 cars per driveway, and then you're putting that on an 18-foot road with no shoulders?
Okay.
That's not what we want, is it?
No.
I mean, I don't see it as our goal is to put that in, because if they come to the other side and that farm gets cut up,
Same
you've got
thing.
another 38 driveways times 2, or you now got 150 plus vehicles that are suddenly being dumped on that road, and they got to go to the stop sign down there. Whereas if if this subdivision, when it come off the county road, if it had the internals in it, then they're gonna disperse, and they're not gonna all come down through there. So our encouragement needs to be that they don't have the ability, or it's economically unfeasible, to cut up off county roads,
Well, collector streets.
whatever you.
I mean, because the internal ones would be county roads as well once.
That would be county
yeah,
roads, but what
I know
I'm
what
saying
you mean.
is
You mean
the-
collector streets, where
The
there's,
existing road that's already there.
right, where there's,
Okay,
So how do we do that?
all right, so. Because I'm thinking as a developer, and I'm looking here, and I'm looking at ways to circumvent what we want to do. So I've got this parcel here, and I got a lot of county road frontage up through here. And so the one that I'm talking about is the one that you got the phone call over, all right, okay? So the guy comes in, he says, well, I own this property right here on the road, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do a stem lot. I'm gonna do a 2-lot subdivision, they bring it in here to you, and you sign off on it. All right, then he comes back 2 weeks later, and he comes in here and he does a stem over here, like that right there, and he says, I'm doing a 2-lot subdivision, and he's gonna bring it to you. They'll just 2-lot us to death all the way down through there to try to get around this. That's why I was thinking that.
Well, that's where your 75-foot stem comes in.
The stem's gonna come in, so that's gonna make this a big lot. So it's gonna eat up a chunk of their acreage.
So,
on the road.
so that prevents that from happening. That's where the stem,
Okay.
the short stem comes in. So then the next step is that you make it advantageous not to cut up off a county road. So either it's, you gotta be 200 foot or 221 foot from the existing driveway that's on a county road, or from, if you cut the subdivision up, down through there, you can't have a driveway any closer than 221 feet or 200, whatever, pick a number, I don't care. But what I'm saying is you want to try to push them to go, cause they can put an internal road in there and come up between those 2 lots right there. And they only have to be 50 foot wide.
Yeah.
If they come in the subdivision down here and come in with the internal road instead of going out onto the thing. So what we're not saying you can't do it, because we don't have that authority to do. But what we're saying is, it's not gonna be as much fun or as much money if you don't put that road in.
Well, I'm pretty sure that I know the stem's gonna deter part of it, but I don't know if it's gonna, I mean, I still say we'll see some in front of us, but I don't think we'll see as many. Because it's just,
But the guy that doesn't wanna put the stem lot in, or put the stem in,
yeah,
he's back to, we need something to deter him from chopping those lots.
yeah.
But you're not gonna do away with the 25-foot right of way, right?
Well, I'm trying to think how we can still keep that in there,
Well,
but without any people taking an advantage of it, per se, because, first I thought, I could do it per parcel, but that don't work. Because 3 years from now, when the parcels change this, that, whatever, we come back in here, and the guy wants to do another one, unless we sit down there and look at it and then everything else, we're gonna say, I'm sorry, that easement for that parcel is already being used up. You can't do it, you can't use it again. I don't know how that would work. It'd be a nightmare. We'd never be able to keep up with it much.
I think whatever we do, we gotta make it simple,
I know.
that we can
Well, yeah,
apply.
And don't penalize the guy that's got 70 foot of road frontage, and that's all he's got. He's got 10 acres. He's got 2 kids. If you change the width of the road frontage for a lot, and he ain't got the 70 feet, and we do away with the right of ways, he can never cut that 10 acres up ever.
Unless he builds a road.
Unless he builds a road, you're not gonna build a road for your 2 kids, to county standards.
Well,
I mean, you can't penalize somebody for that.
I read somewhere in there that people were saying that one way to get around that is when you have that, is to lower your standards for road building. But I don't know I don't know if I wanna get in that way.
No, I'm not.
I wouldn't go
I'm
there.
not gonna vote for that.
No, I wouldn't.
Well,
Because.
I was just reading ideas of what people.
And I know where you're headed with that, but if it's not feasible,
Let's say
the problem is with that one, is that's fine for the two kids right now.
But you gotta do it for everybody.
But you gotta do it for everybody, number one, but number two is, you don't know in 10 years, those kids, the daddy may die or the mama may
True, but
die.
they could never cut it up again. once
But
they
what
do it.
I'm saying is, they may not be the ones living there.
I know.
It may be somebody else, so it's turned into a 3-lot subdivision,
Yeah, it
and
would.
nobody knows anybody.
Yeah,
And they move in here,
And I always tell them,
just like out here when I parked tonight, there's 3 New Jersey American plates, went right by me.
Yeah.
Like in a caravan being invaded. But those people are not gonna understand, Miss Sue, that was cut up for the kids, and that's the kids' houses. All they care about is, I want my road fixed.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say we put these restrictions in here. And we have down here that there could be an exception reviewed by either the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Planning Commission, as far as that goes. If there was an instance where the guy only had 70 feet, and
Or
he
50.
and he comes in here and he wants to cut off for his kids, as far as that goes, then we could say, okay, after review and everything else, then we could say there's an
I don't think
exception?
that's a good idea. I think the property needs to stand on its own and not be subject to.
Well, the downside I see with that one, Terry, is that everybody's gonna have a lot bigger families.
You think
But
so?
you can only, if you've only got 70 foot of road frontage, 3 lots is all you ever.
I understand.
Unless you build it.
But they may wanna cut that up, and they come in and they got a cousin from Michigan.
Can't
They
do
get-
it. Can't do it. Cannot do it.
Not from
Not
Michigan.
all properties
Now,
created
if you
equal.
do the 3 lots. you're
No,
done.
but I'm saying to cut the thing.
Oh, yeah, I
Let's
know.
say you're coming up and you're coming in for a review.
No,
How do you
don't ask.
police?
You can't ask that.
You can't police that the guy that you're selling it to is not kin,
But you can only do.
third cousin,
and I'll
fourth,
tell 'em,
twice removed.
I'm not worried if they're
All
kin
you're
or not.
getting-
I'm not worried, that's,
That doesn't
the
worry
kindred,
me.
it doesn't matter to me. It's not. All I'm saying is when we look at it, then we get, and they bring us a plat in here and they say, okay, look, this is what we would like to do on this property right here. And they're sitting there and explaining it to us, and we're looking at all the property around it and everything else, and we're gonna say, you know what? This is not what we intended. But there may be some cases there where we do. I mean,
Can't the Board of Zoning Appeals do that now?
Not the board.
No,
of
not,
Zoning Appeals.
it would be the planning
Well,
commission.
I'll be more than happy to put all 2 lotters on y'all if you want. More than happy.
Well-
But none of you were on there when they put it in me.
Well-
Because we used to be here to midnight, passing all of us. Hundreds of them.
well,
You need something to earn your fee. I mean, you're just take
I'll be more than happy
from
to
the
let y'all do
county
it.
all the time.
what
You
I'm
need
saying.
something to earn your keep.
I'm more than happy to keep doing it, but you look
Well-
like you're heading down that road.
no, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep the 25 foot.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to not be, I don't want it to be abused.
Yeah.
In other
It's
words,
been abused.
okay, so here's the thing. Let's say, for instance, I say, okay, I got a stem lot here. All right, that's fine. So the guy then has to make this a big lot. Well, what's to say then he comes down here at the corner and he puts in a 25-foot easement to get another stem lot back here, just using, he's taking advantage of the easement.
Yeah. That's done.
That's what I'm trying to do is see if we can limit the easement. How many times the easement can be used. But what's gonna happen is that every time somebody does a 2-lotter, they're gonna come in here and they're gonna use an easement. They're gonna say, okay, this is my subdivision. And then they're gonna come again and again and again and again. And there's no way to stop that because,
Yeah, if you got 100 foot, you can take them to come in here and do 4 lots with 25 foot radius.
so. Well, here's the other thing. The thing is that the easement is like a stem, and it can only be 75 feet.
Can you limit the number of easements?
Well,
That's if we could do that, I think we got what we want. And that's what I'm trying to come up with.
well, how do you do that?
Well, when they come in with a big tract of land, we
Well,
can
big
see how
tract, I
many
can
easements
see.
they got.
Yeah.
But when they come in with two lotters, and they do a two lotter and a two lotter and a two lotter, and every time they do it, they want to put an easement in there, then unless you keep track, how you gonna stop it?
Yeah, it's kind of tough.
Well,
What do you put a distance on the easements?
you could.
If you put a distance on the easements going down through there,
Yes.
that they can't be any closer than 500, well, you got 535 feet.
So we'll say, so what are you gonna say? We can say 500 feet?
No, because that won't work on your lot if they do that stem. It's gotta be 500, if you take 40,000 square feet, divide 75, you're
Yeah.
533.333 feet.
Right.
So if you say it's gotta be 535 feet between each one of them, that lets you put that lot, if he wants to do that.
Right. So what?
Because if you put it closer, you take away his ability.
So basically, what happens is that when he eats up all these road frontage in these big lots, where he was before could have had more driveways. There's still going to be the same number of driveways as if there were no stem lots. Is what it's going to boil down to. So that'll be the case then. So
Does
we'll
that
have.
count on if you only got 50 foot of road run?
If you
got, just like
Okay,
I
so
said,
you got
got to
50
figure that out somehow.
so you got 50 foot of road.
What you change is, put it into the law,
So you got 50 foot of frontage.
that's all you got, and
All
you
right.
got 5 acres,
And so you're going to get two tracks.
2 tracks.
That's all you're
Well,
going to
you
get.
get 3, you get 3. The 50 stands for 1 and 2 25 foot right of ways. So you got that 5 acre tract into 3 tracks,
That's where the gist comes in.
which is what we do every day.
That's
Not
where,
everything.
that's where the rub comes in. Give them the two 25 foot
Well,
easements.
that's what we've always done, since we put the 25s in. That's what it was for.
But if you just get one,
So one
then that
kid's
just
in,
means
one
2
kid's
lots.
out.
No, you cut it up and
No,
No, mom and daddy already
no, you
live,
only got 50 foot of frontage.
and they already have a house there.
Well,
This happened, and I'm not just bringing this up every
I
time,
understand.
because it's happened.
but here's the thing.
That's why I came to you all years
What
ago.
what if you've got 4 kids? Somebody's gonna get left
Well, they're
out.
left out,
So
but-
you just can't,
I'm just
there gotta be a
telling you.
stop sign at the end of the road somewhere.
somewhere. So we either limit to 125 foot easement, as far as that goes, and then they can do with a flag lot. That's what, but the flag, I say the stem's only 75 feet. And then,
Maybe you can go with road frontage.
but then here's the thing. If you go from that stem, then we said how many feet before another driveway?
535 feet,
Yeah.
because that's what if you do 75 foot deep, that's what it works out to. You gotta be 535 feet to get that, to put a lot in there.
Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
So if you only go back 200 feet with your property, you can't cut it up.
Yeah, you can cut it up. What he's doing is he's limiting how far back. You can't go all the way to the back. You can only go 75 foot
Okay.
with that easement in there. Once you're there, you're done.
But only one easement.
Well,
I think you ought to do something. If you've only got 50 foot, you can cut it up 3 times. I mean, what if you got 50 foot and you got 20 acres? I've had this woman call me from across the lake. She's got nothing, no road frontage, and she just begs. But you can't do it. I mean, I can't help it. She don't live on a county road.
well,
But I get that a lot.
so, well,
I do. I mean, that's just the truth.
here's what would happen. So we got our lot, and we're gonna have our stem. And then we're gonna say we're gonna give you a 25-foot easement, right? So right here, so that can only be 75. Now, I don't know how else you're gonna get another lot in there. I don't, it's three's gonna be the most you can get.
Well, if you only got 50, it is, yeah. But I don't want to penalize somebody that ain't got but 50 foot or 60 foot.
No, that gives you, that would be three.
That would be three.
Three
right
lots, three lots that
And
you'd
that's
be able to
fine.
get.
I ain't got no problem with that.
Okay.
there. We'll make it 75 foot,
Should-
give them the 125.
Well, now, they're going to use the same driveway.
Well,
I don't care what they use, they can drop in out of a helicopter. as
you
far as
don't
I'm
know, you
concerned.
don't know that's always gonna
No,
be
no,
the
no,
case.
but usually.
Prime example down there, that,
Yeah.
Just that David J.
Plenty of them's been
Just
examples.
got burned.
They start out with good intentions.
and the road to purgatory is paved with those same good intentions,
Yeah,
Big Pop.
I agree, I know.
All right, and then,
I'm trying to talk up for the little man.
I'm just telling you where it heads after a while.
I
It
know.
always starts out with good
But we don't
intentions.
want to cut the family man plumbing.
all right.
But that'll work.
So if we do the stem length at 75, then we're coming in here, we're gonna say the stem driveways, after you have a stem, then you gotta go 535 feet before you can have another stem driveway.
Yes.
Get that right. Good.
But
So the
if you do
surveyor
that,
will
then that
understand.
makes that front lot. Once you cut that, you're obligated, you're gonna have to go down 535 feet,
Or you can't get the stem lot.
or you can't do that.
Yeah.
That lot, well, you gotta go 533.33,
Well,
but we'll round her off. But what I'm saying is, once you cut that, it's mandatory that that next lot be at least that wide.
yeah.
So if you decide, so if the guy comes in and wants to do another 2 lot, guess what happens? Right here's the, right here, got here first.
Yeah.
Whether you did it, somebody else did it, Big Pop did it, whatever, you've got to go here.
Yeah.
That'll cut a lot of that out.
Can we also say that, that the easements have to go up the stem?
I don't know why not.
Go- So basically what you got is, you've got your 50 foot here, I mean, you got your road frontage, and then you're gonna have your stem lot coming back through here. And that stem lot then basically, whatever it does is, but your 25-foot easements have to be in the stem. Because if not, then somebody will just come down here, across this other lot down here, try to put a 25-foot easement. So I say your easements have to be up, come across the stem. Because then that will really push everybody on those stem lots to use the same driveway. Use the same driveway.
And then they'll have to make sure that it's in the deed. It'll not be our responsibility.
Well, yeah. What'll happen is it'll be on the plat. It's
Be on the plat,
once it's in there, it's just gonna make,
That's the other thing, Mr. David, on this subdivision thing. We're not the enforcement. We need to make that plain in there. It is the developer, realtor, surveyor, they all got to sign off that this is available to the people. When they sell that lot, if they're 7%, not over 10%, we gotta put that in, that that's
That'll be on the
certified
plat.
on the plat.
They'll be on the plate.
So it's not us, they don't come back to us to sue us. They sue the developer and they sue the surveyor.
You have to have complete knowledge, and
Yeah.
it'll be on the plan.
They gotta certify.
And you all can prove that here.
I know, but we need that in here, that the developer or the owner or who,
You'd
whatever.
like to have a certificate where somebody signs it that acknowledges it.
I want the surveyor on the hook, and I want the developer or the owner or whatever on the hook. So when they come in and say, hey, we didn't get this, we need a variance. Because we're gonna say, hey, we're not doing any more variances. We're done. you need to take that up with them other fellers, because they signed your thing that says this has it, and they know these are the regulations. If they didn't abide by them, they committed fraud. So it's not, I don't want us to be on the hook for the thing.
That's every lot, even 2 lotters, 3 lotters.
Everybody got to sign that off. Every 2 lotters, 1 lotter, whatever, they got to sign off that they meet them 7%, minimum of 30 by 40, less than a 10% slope. And that will make the surveyors, and they won't let them cut them lots up if they're on the hook for it.
Let me ask you a question, David. So, the flag lot stuff, does it need to be in something separate than what we got right here, or will it still fit in this right there?
It could be a separate paragraph, but it probably ought to be under arrangement.
Okay, all right. And then the other thing is variances to setback requirements of location proposals will not be granted for this subdivision. Okay, so we said we wanted to, that's what you were talking about, that that notation
Plat
right there.
notation, yeah.
All right, and what was Article 3, Section 6 that we deleted?
I'll tell you what, let's just go there.
How's these other counties, Mr. David, how are they handling things like this?
They don't. They handle it the way Jefferson County does now.
I read people don't
I've
like
tried,
flag lots, but they've tried everything they can think of to try to, to do it, and just unless you just flat out outlaw it as far as it goes. But then again, when you do that to a developer, who do you end up hurting? You hurt the property owner that's limited as far as it goes. So you're trying to be.
You're trying to balance it. I
Balance it.
understand it.
The Article 6 is the additional width on existing streets.
Okay,
That was,
because we wanted to add.
which state law said you couldn't do, under that public chapter 1128.
That the new thing?
Yeah.
It says that we can't widen our streets.
No, you can't require that the developer give additional right-of-way on an existing street.
Oh, on an existing
That's
street.
yeah.
So that is the interpretation.
Yeah,
of it.
well, that's my interpretation, and it seems to me to be a direct hit on that.
Well, because that's what I was thinking, but I'm not.
It don't mean that we can't require up front that the streets be wider in a new development.
Right, this is
Yeah.
along existing
Existing
streets.
streets.
What it says is additional width on existing streets, under section 6. Subdivisions that adjoin existing streets shall dedicate additional right-of-way to meet the above minimum street width requirements. And up above it has the amount of right-of-way for a minor street, a minor collector street, a major collector, etc. And then it says, the entire right-of-way shall be provided where any part of the subdivision is on both sides of the existing street. You're subdividing along Highway Dumplin Valley Road, and if it's got a 40-foot existing right-of-way, and that road is a collector street and should be a 60-foot right-of-way, then the developer would give 30 feet on each side of the center line of the road would be dedicated to the county. And that's not allowed anymore, it's the way the new state law reads.
You remember when we were looking
Yeah,
at Dublin Valley Road, and I said, hey, I think we need to go in there and to help if we ever have to widen that road to make it 25 to 30. Now then, we can't even ask for the 25. Oh, that's on existing roads.
We'd have to pay for it and, offer them, it would be under the eminent domain law, where you have to have, where you
So
have to
that's
pay
just
for it.
changed, though, correct?
They just did it.
Yeah,
And we had
July
to-
1st.
And we have
And
to
that-
add language to our subdivision guidelines stating that fact, do we not?
Yeah, and I'm proposing that we remove that section, just so there's no confusion.
So,
Because that would not apply, in my opinion, to any time a new road is being proposed, and in order for the road to be accepted by the county and the planning commission, that it have its adequate right-of-way and, street width and all the, you know, all the improvements that are required in subdivision regulations. That,
So we're gonna rely on Charles Tipton then on existing county road for him to say on record what the right of way is. And if he says it only goes to the ditch, then that's all, it goes to the ditch. So that means their property line then is at the ditch of the road.
and there may be cases, and I know there's cases in Cotton County, I've seen them,
We got a lot of them.
and I'm sure there's several in Jefferson
Yeah.
County where the property line goes all the way to the center of the road.
So, yeah, so here's my,
Our deed cost for an iron pin in the middle of Collins Road.
yeah.
Now, if that ever went to court, it's possible that a judge might rule that it's ditch line to ditch line for the, because it's deemed a public
Yeah,
road or
it could
county
be,
road.
yeah.
But it's also figured in my taxes, so
Yeah.
they'd have to
Oh, they
Well-
give them back.
reimburse.
So.
I can't
Can you
speak for a
charge
judge,
a toll?
but I'm just saying that's,
So
You
here,
can't have a toll road?
so here's my thing is this. Since we're not gonna get to 25 feet, I think on existing roads then we have a setback of 55 feet off the road right away.
Well, we do on buildings, yeah. I mean, that's why I tell them.
Well,
It's out
sorry.
in the middle of the road.
No, I'm saying
No,
55.
from the edge
Yeah, I
of
know
from
what
the
it's
Edge of the
drive.
road.
we do
I
on
think,
buildings.
you're right. I think you make them move back, whatever
to
that
account
is.
what might be a right of way if
Because
it was
it-
ever necessary for the,
There's no
county
need
to
to have to
acquire.
move the house.
Yeah.
If that house or building's already built back there, and if you need another additional 10 feet or 5 feet or whatever, yeah, we have to buy it or whatever, you know, but it would be significantly cheaper to do that
Yeah.
than it would to buy their house or move their house or whatever.
You talking about existing road?
I'm talking about when you subdivide off an existing road, that you change the front setback to 55 feet wherever the right of way
From the
is.
property line.
Yeah, from the property line. So if they go to the center of the road, you measure off 55 feet. If they go to the ditch, you still measure off 55 feet. So either way, we're not, what's doing is not putting houses right on the road. Yes.
well, we wouldn't be changing that in the subdivision regulations because, well, we could, but, because if somebody subdivided on it, that's the only time it would really be in effect through the subdivision regulations.
Yeah,
So do you want it 55 feet from the edge of the road
I'm saying,
rather than
Well-
from where the property line is? Because
well, I don't know. All I'm saying is that because property lines are gonna vary. Because let's say just like yours, so if they come in and said, hey, my property line's the center of the road, nobody ever took this right away from me, I said, okay, that's fine. So that's the property line, center of the road. But your building setback's 55 feet,
From the center of the road.
wherever your property line is. If your property line goes to the center of the road, then the building setback is 55 feet. If your property line goes to the ditch and it's 18 feet off, then you're going to get it, you still gonna have to go, you still
Well,
go back.
New roads already got that.
Yeah, the road roads, we don't have to worry
Yeah,
about.
you gotta worry.
It's just existing. So I just say you put the 55 feet in there for your setback off existing road. Because you don't know until you get the survey in here where the property line is.
Well, I can tell you what the road right of way is on every road. I got it in Charlie's book in there. And that's what we go by on house setbacks.
Okay, so when you look at Charlie's book, all right, then
It's not got a right of way on it, then it's ditch to ditch.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, but you don't know what that
Some
distance
of 'em are
is until
40.
you get out there and measure it.
No, some of them are 40, some of them are 50. You know, they're all different lengths.
so do we go from the edge of the right of way?
Well, when
Rather
I'm telling
than-
them house, if it's ditch to ditch, I'll say you go 30 feet back from the ditch, from the road where the
But
pavement.
what Terry's saying, rather than come to the center of the road like where my deed would call, it needs to be 55 feet from the edge of the right of way.
Yeah, because we don't know where the right of way is gonna be.
Where would
Let's
the
say,
right-
That's- and
so
if-
the guy comes in here, he says, hey, this is my property line, center line of the road. I said, we're fine with that. We're not gonna take that from you. We're not gonna buy it from you as far as that goes. I said, but whenever you put your lot in here, your house will be 55 feet back from that. And it's no different than giving the 25 feet and the 30 foot the way we got it
It'd be the
now.
same thing as
It's the
it
same thing as far as it goes, but,
I know, but what typically your problems are gonna be on the older roads and the more narrow roads. So if we go 55 feet from the edge of the right of way, as opposed to the center line of the road.
but I don't understand how we're going to determine what the
If
right of
it's
way
al-
is.
If it's already booked in,
Ditch to ditch,
Okay, so,
that's all it is.
wait, so that's what he's maintaining,
Yeah, well, that's all he
But
says
does-
right away.
okay? But does the county own that?
No,
According to this,
they own the road.
according to this right here, we can't take property away from them to.
we're not taking it.
No, just tell them.
We're just telling them that the setback can't be, there has to be a certain amount from the edge of the right of way.
All you're changing on that is 25 feet on a new house off an old road. It's 30 now, and you want to go 55 back.
So,
Now, your neighbor may be right on the road, but you're not gonna be.
okay, so what's gonna have to happen is they're gonna have to do a development, and they're gonna have to go to Charles, and they're gonna have to say, how big is this right of way?
Yeah.
All right? So Charles is gonna say, so many feet off the center of the road, even though that may not be right.
Well, he's gonna tell them ditch to ditch.
Because here's what I'm saying, there is times when roads was built in this county, well, here was the property line, and one guy gave the whole thing because his neighbor wouldn't give anything. So this guy here, he gave up his property for the county to get a road to come across him right there, as far as it goes, or however. His neighbor didn't, all
That's
right?
right, you're right, but I've seen this.
So I'm just saying that,
Yeah, I can take you to several of those.
you know,
There's a lot of them.
so what you got is that you're gonna run into those situations, you don't think they still exist.
Now,
I can take you one not a mile from my house, that the road's squeezed down, and it's still
probably
not,
wouldn't give that.
because they wouldn't give it.
Yeah.
Both of them bowed up and wouldn't give it to do it, and the road runs through there, and it goes, whoosh, and it goes down, and it ain't a half a mile as a crow flies to my house.
So,
Yeah, that happens.
so all I'm saying is that, you know, because this is about making an individual that owns the property give the property without being compensated for it. All right? So if this guy comes in and says, you know what? My granddaddy, he give his whole road over here, as far as that goes. And so now you're gonna make me, take more off of me? Because now then you're saying the center line of the road, whereas before, so I've had to give this side and this side, plus more now off. So I think that's where that comes into play, to a certain extent. So that's why I'm saying, wherever this property line ends up being, I don't care what it does, I'm just saying, if you throw 55 feet in there, we can't lose. We can't lose. Now, that being said, if these individuals wanted to do the 25 foot and deed that over, they couldn't they? In other words, if they decided they were doing this development and they wanted to cede that extra land to the county, they could do that.
They could.
Because we're not making them, but they could if they wanted to.
That ain't gonna happen.
Well,
TDOT will accept gifts like that on road projects. You just have to sign a certain form. Otherwise, it's eminent domain and they pay them fair market value.
You gonna give yours up on College Road?
Not an inch, it's been took
That's
every
where you-
bit,
That's where you run into
because they
that.
come in there and took it and widened it by eminent domain to take that nuclear reactor.
And I don't blame John Deere for that at all.
all right. So I'm just saying that to me, to satisfy that, the way it states in here, and you know, they may come in here and give us the right of way, what Charles has as far as that goes. But we don't know what that is, and so I still say that on an existing county road that you put in, no matter where it ends up, you just say 55 feet. It's either that or where, because we don't know where we don't know where the right of way is gonna be, so,
Which is the same as the front property line for the property owner.
Yes.
Which, in order for
That's right.
purposes of subdivision.
so,
So that will have to be determined.
you know, there's lots of surveys and plats up here that were, even on subdivided lots, that ran to the center of the road, you know?
Well,
And,
all the old leads over here.
Yeah.
That, what's below 1002 called to the middle of the river.
yeah,
Well, the river may have moved.
yeah, it could have. Channel moves, yeah.
Channel moves, I mean, but a lot of the old deeds call to the middle of the river, to the middle of the road, to the middle of the creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen
Well,
that.
all I'm saying is that I think we need, I think we need to adjust our setbacks, if,
You're talking about just the building setbacks.
the building setbacks. On the front, this is only on existing county
That ain't
roads.
hard to do.
Yeah,
What's gonna be hard is the first 2 or 3 months when everybody comes in here and want,
That's gonna be hard.
they gonna want it.
May have to put 2 lockers on you boys till we get them straightened out. That ain't no lie.
Cause
No,
the first
no,
one
no.
the first one you say, oh boy, I hate that, but,
I am,
and they give the exemption, then you've opened the floodgate.
I am,
Then the
if you-
building
if you
setback
want-
lines need to be expressly shown on the plat
yes,
and delineated, you know,
Yeah.
55 feet from this point or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of
I don't have a
stuff,
problem with the center line of the road. I hear what you're saying, Terry. I just think that would be a consistency thing,
well,
and it should cover us, but, you know,
but here's my thing, David. I mean, I know 55 was gonna work, but here's the thing. What about the guy that gave the whole thing? So
the
if you
end of
look at
Collins, the end of Collins Road.
so his property line is on the other
Totally
side
on
of,
us.
in the other ditch.
it's totally what, I'm sorry.
It's totally on us, me and brother, the end of Collins Road, that connects the 4
The
lanes.
football players don't own it?
No, he's talking about that.
I'm about the road.
I'm just kidding. I had to have a
The
moment.
right of way for Collins Road goes through Steiner's house.
I'd say that's right.
I know it's right. Hadn't been for Granddad, they'd had to tear the house down.
Sorry to interrupt you, Terry. Say, go ahead.
Okay.
So I understand your point, and I understand what you're saying. And if you do make it wherever the property line is, then it is what it is. It's on the deed. There's no fussing about it. There's
Yeah.
no ditch line to ditch line. This is
Well, that's what
30,
it
this
is
is
today.
40.
Yeah,
This,
That's how we do it today.
I know it,
that's,
but I'm not, way I interpreted this new law, you don't get to do it that way anymore.
On the setback?
No, setbacks are fine. I mean, the setback, that's got nothing to do with setback. I'm just saying determine where the where the people own in regards to where the road is in the right of way, as far as that goes. If it's in an old deed back there, then basically, we can't make them give
No, I
anymore.
agree with that. But that ain't got nothing to do with the 55 feet, does
No,
it? Okay.
no.
Okay.
No, that's a separate issue. That's just simply setback. This is where the state law has ruled that it would be a taking of property.
Right.
Without compensation.
But a setback is not taking the property.
No.
No, I get it. So is that what you
so
want to change?
55 feet
55?
instead of 30.
Is
On
that
ex-
what you want to change?
Yeah, on existing roads,
So when the guy comes in over
Your
here.
front setback
Just asking for
it's
information.
55 feet.
When the guy comes in over here and says, oh, I can't get there, my lot drops off too bad.
Then you don't need to be subdivided.
Okay,
Well, no,
I just wanna make
It's
sure
already
where
an
we're going.
existing lot, what do you do?
Well, if it's already been sold as an existing lot that's already platted, we can't
Yeah, you can
super,
enforce setbacks. Tell me you can't.
If it's in the zoning, you can, not if it's in the subreg, not if, because that would have
If you change-
predated the
if you change
subdivision.
that, it's, you're changing everything, right?
Well,
We're talking subdivision regulations
Well, that
right
would be
now,
the setbacks.
but here's the thing, all right?
for subdivided property.
Well, just think about this, all right? So in 1960, if we didn't have a 30-foot setback, say we only had a 20-foot, and so you had a lot that met the standards in 1960, and we changed the setback to 30 feet, well, what if they were to come in here and say, well, you know what, we can't, that extra 10 feet give us, we can't even build on this lot now.
Well, that's Douglas Lucky State.
Well, that's what I'm
That is.
saying.
I
So
don't know what they was.
we either have to come in and give them a variance
wasn't.
because it was an existing
Or
lot,
what he wanted.
and our new
Or
guidelines.
take, laid down a few gravel and called it a road, throw a little
So-
tar on top of it,
So that covers
and
that.
said, y'all good shape.
They have an opportunity to come in and plead their case on that one. So if you've got an existing subdivision and we change the rules on you, and you met the guidelines then they could come in and say, hey, look, you know, at 10 feet, that puts me back, I can't get my house in here now. Well,
Over there, it'd be, you're talking about 25.
well, all I'm saying is,
Just making a point.
I'm just making a point that they would have a good case for a variance. Because
We're not
it's
gonna
not their
get-
fault that we changed the setbacks.
But what do you do when they come in for a building then? And you say it's 55 feet from that end of the road over here,
No, what we're saying is it's 55 feet from the property line.
but that is the property.
Well, then that's where it comes in at then.
So right now it's 30.
Right, and if it's an existing lot,
They've only got 35 feet before it goes from
yeah,
down to the,
if it's an existing lot,
you don't,
they can come before the Board of Zoning Appeals and say, hey, look, you've changed your setback guidelines and I had an existing lot that met it, and so then you're just gonna give them, you give them a variance for that.
variances.
Yeah.
Well, you won't be able to shut that down, looks to me like, until all of the existing platted
Oh, Lord.
lots
Right. It is,
are gone. But you don't have to grant the variance, but what I'm saying is, they've gotta have a mechanism to plead the case, don't you think?
they do.
Last time I figured it up, there's over 2,000 empty lots.
Well, the thing is that,
Why are we cutting more of it?
you
That's
know,
that's what Karen Everett said. Karen Everett said the same thing, remember?
Yeah.
yeah, I wonder how many of them are buildable.
Well, that's to see it.
Well, when you go back and you look at a lot of records, there's a lot of people that own 2 lots, and they don't have any intention to build on it, they just
No, that's
bought the
true.
lot, so there's a lot of them like that. So,
So what do we do with those?
I don't know.
We need to address that while we're doing this.
Okay.
If you're a property owner and you have bought 2 lots, and that's what you do, and it's, you're not building, we don't need those lots coming back in pleading their case because somebody decided now, developer got a hold of it, the kids got a hold of it, and they decided they're gonna sell off that other thing, although it's been treated as one partial for 20 years. We don't need those lots coming back in preempting this. They should have to meet all of these new
that's correct,
things.
that's correct, yes.
They wanna come back in.
Because that's a new re-subdividing of that property at that point in time, and they would have to meet the new guidelines. But
So
if you,
what if they've got it still deeded as 2
No,
lots?
I don't think he's talking about resub.
okay, right, if they still got it as, these as 2 lots, okay, right there, then I think that they should have to, all they should have to follow is what the original had on there. But if you re-subdivide any of those lots in any ways, then you gotta come in with the new
Those would be
setbacks.
grandfathered pre-existing lots.
That's the way I look at it, they would be
Yeah,
for
and-
setbacks. And-
Tim, let me ask you a question. When your people issue building permits, do they check the subdivision plat to see what the setback requirement is, or do they go strictly by the zoning?
Zoning.
Right, so anyway, it's, there's gonna be a conflict between the zoning and the subdivision regulations. The only time what we're talking about tonight will come into play is when property is subdivided and it's, put on the plat, 55 feet back.
The new.
Yeah, for new lots.
So do we need to go into the zoning and put the same thing in on it?
I don't know, perhaps.
And this is just on existing county roads, meaning the new roads, it didn't matter. New roads will stay 30 feet.
You put it in zoning, gotta go through all the cities and county commission and all that stuff.
Got nothing to do anyway.
I like it.
They like you over at Jefferson
They
City.
love me over there.
Well, anyway,
They hug your neck every time you go over. They talk
Look
to
at
you,
me.
call you those little nicknames behind your back.
well, let's, I still say we need that for any new development on existing county road, based on this new state law, that your setback is gonna be 55 feet from your property line. And your property line will be determined by your deed as what you own.
And when the property's developed, that'll
Well,
all be
let's-
taken into account for the
hang on-
size and
hang
depth
on a
of the
minute.
It
lots.
will.
Can you not
If-
just do
cause
that
any
in the
problems.
subdivision law and let
If we do that,
building do that?
and you're 55 foot, that's 20 feet to the back of that stem lot.
Well, they just, out of luck.
Okay, I just want to make that observation because we don't want to get in a position that, well, we're just going to grant variances on that.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing you want to get away from is granting variances.
Yes.
I think you're putting yourself into doing more variances. That's what I think.
Don't start and you won't have to do it.
Well,
And then that'll cut down a ton of those lots out on the road because they just won't be feasible anymore.
yeah.
Well, all you have to do is say no variances. That's the end of that road.
It says right down here
We
in
shouldn't allow
bold,
lots to be created.
in bold
that would be
letters,
the-
variances to setback or locations will not be granted.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be allowing lots to be created that would require variance.
That's right.
That's for
I
lots
agree.
that,
That's true.
that's technically for lots that predate the subdivision regulations, the way they're written. And the only way they can use the property would be if a variance was granted.
Well, and if they know where the fence is to start with, then they know where they can develop it or not, and they have that choice.
And if the
So if
plat
they
is
start down that road, it's not our fault.
right, and if everything's listed on the plat and then taken to the deed, there should be no question.
And whatever it costs them to do it, then they build that into their business model. Okay.
All right. So David, I think we need some lenience, since we're taking this out, as far as that goes, now then, I think we put in here, if you subdivide off an existing county road,
Any existing county road, not just collector streets, right?
right,
Okay,
then because your state highways, some of those, they're gonna have a set right of way. All right.
and so are a lot of our subdivision roads.
So basically what we're saying is that you're gonna have 55 feet off of that. That's county roads. All right. So, all right, and so the other, everybody good on that? Everybody understand what's going on there?
The only thing I could see it may south to, that as you go down through our property line, unless you,
That will be the case, well, which we already have that sort of now. Because we got us subdivision, we've been requiring him to give 25, and then it comes back in and goes back out wherever subdivided it, so you are gonna have that to a certain extent. I don't know how to, I mean, this threw a wrench in everything. The new
Why
state
did they pass that?
law. Everybody asks the same question. Somebody got their toes stepped
I
on.
mean, somebody get mad and they have a buddy down there and he passed the laws, let it in, or,
Probably, are you talking about that public chapter 1120? I wasn't listening for a second. Yeah, I'm probably.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. It just
Or,
barely
you know,
passed.
Everybody's doing subdivisions throughout the state to try to accommodate all the out-of-state people, so, you know, it's probably pretty competitive as far as trying to get as many lots as they can from their property and all that sort of thing.
But you are right, Mark. The right, I mean, the map, you're gonna look at the map and it's gonna be zigzagged and everything else, so, you know, I don't know how to make that work. You know, my thing was that on Dublin Valley, I wanted to get extra, try to get extra right of ways in case we, but anyway, all right. So the next thing, on these streets right here, you've got, the 24 feet.
I did it only for minor residential streets, marginal access streets, and cul-de-sacs.
Okay.
The reason I did it that way is because the county roads at 20 feet, they're acceptable to Charlie Tipton, and they've been that way in the county for a long time. And they're not really pedestrian
well,
oriented.
you don't want to encourage the
pedestrian on that.
Right,
Dumping Valley
but in
Road.
these minor streets that I listed here, and they're defined in the subdivision regulations, we pretty much agreed to add some footage to the road so people could walk and ride their bikes
And these
safely.
what you're saying, these streets are what will be internal in a subdivision.
These are the internal roads within a subdivision.
Okay, so they're 24, paved 24 feet wide. Because you remember, we talked about adding 5 feet in there for the
It could be
walkway.
5 feet if you want.
And that's what, yeah, I think that would be, because,
You want it 25?
well, I think so. I think that would help.
Okay.
And that's the 5 feet instead of the sidewalks.
That's
Yes.
correct.
That's essentially a trade-off to
It
make
is.
them more pedestrian friendly.
Yeah.
They said down there in Knoxville, Mississippi, that it would take $2.5 billion to fix
And
all
those
the
sidewalks.
sidewalks
Yeah.
down there and make them all connect and make them leveled up.
Handicapped accessible and all
ADA
that.
accessible.
And all of that, it would take $2.5 billion right now, if you did it today, to do the sidewalks in Knoxville.
Make them skateboard friendly.
That too,
Skateboard friendly,
that too.
Scooter friendly, whatever it is. But just to repair them and put them in order, $2.5 billion with a B.
I hear all the time that cities are having real problems with, tree roots, like, upending sections of the,
Buckles, and-
buckling them and all that sort of thing, and they want to get them
Everybody
fixed.
that plant a tree in the middle of a concrete thing and expect it not to tear it up is stupid.
Well,
I mean,
Well, the
What do
people,
you think is gonna happen?
That's what Herschel Walker said.
well, my thing is that and I talked to Charles about this right here, he felt comfortable with this because he says, I can maintain that. A sidewalk is a separate entity there. And then he says, so that's a lot of maintenance for me. He says, if I just got the pavement, my mower comes down through there, I don't have to worry about everything. He says, I can just clean and go on. And,
I think, I like this idea of just making it a wider road.
yeah.
it works perfect in my neighborhood, and that's the best example I can think of.
I mean,
Now, if I would in downtown Knoxville, you need sidewalks that connect, for pedestrians, because it's all built up. But in suburban subdivision type situations, in like rural subdivisions like here in Jefferson County, I think this will work just fine.
Yeah, better side.
But you're just lying down the center though, instead of one side or the other, instead of marked on one side or the other.
No, I think it needs to be marked on one side.
You can do that. In my neighborhood, it's not marked, and so I walk against traffic or ride a bike with traffic without.
So it's not marked.
It's not marked, no. This just happens to be wide enough to be safe.
So you're telling me that from the center line, is there an edge line on the road?
There's just a little, one of those rolled curbs out of.
Yeah, but I know, but
that's more maintenance.
But we're not having
Oh,
road
I'm not saying
curbs.
you have to have that, but there's a,
But we won't have road curbs. We'll just have,
So we need to address that then. Are we on, is it on both sides? Is it on one side? Is it got a line?
I thought you already addressed that. You
We
wanted-
did.
we talked about it. I don't know.
I
Put it on one
missed,
side.
I was out one.
We talked about it. I don't know if we had anything definitive, but we did talk about it.
Well, I haven't seen it in here, so
Well-
I'm asking.
but, so, and I thought about that. So here you are, you're walking out and the traffic's coming this way. And you say, well, I gotta go home. Then you have to turn around and you walk up the same thing and your back's to traffic. So you keep, unless it's on both sides, you can't,
One-way street.
it's a one-way, yeah.
At 2.5 feet, there's not enough.
I know, so,
Quite honestly, there's not enough traffic in my subdivision. I may have, if I go for a mile walk, I do this half-mile lap twice, and I may see 5 cars.
you know what happens though, is anymore, and you have to think about this, is that people put their earphones on, talking on their telephone, and they don't hear the traffic as far as that goes. You can see it, but you don't always hear it. So,
And these people get on these phones and they don't pay attention. In fact, I was coming over from Piney Baptist Church the other day. They stopped hard. I had to go forth head one. I went over to get it. I was coming back down through there, and on that straight there, Miss Sue, when you level out, before you get to the church, the curve, old boy's coming up through there just like that right there. And apparently he thought it was advantageous to have his half in the middle. And I run off in that cut you,
Uh-oh.
and I hit one of them holes on the side, and I got it back up before it went off in that creek bottom. But it threw the truck so far up in the air that the tire went up over. When I looked in the rearview mirror, the rear tractor tire that was laying in the back of the truck went over the top of the truck.
Oh, goodness.
I just come ace and getting hurt bad.
And he was on his cell phone.
He's on his cell phone. He ended up
Oblivious
like
to
that
what
right
was
there.
going on. Yeah.
And he never even, I don't know that the old boy even realized it. He run me off the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand what you're saying there.
Well,
We had, on the Air Force Base, we had signs that said, walk on left facing traffic. I can remember that when I was a kid.
so,
And the sidewalk was on the left going that way.
but if you don't have one going the other way, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but
So I guess we're just gonna have to add an extra 5 foot on both sides then. That's 30 foot of pavement.
oh,
Oh, they weren't like
Well,
that.
quite honestly, I think the streets in my subdivision are 20
That
by
was some
24. I've not
sidewalks.
actually measured them, but they're not 28. And there's so little traffic that it's not a problem at all. I mean, I don't feel one bit unsafe doing it.
So if you went to 28, and then that left you,
4 foot on each side.
yeah, would that be enough?
I think that'd be more than enough.
I don't know, I don't like to walk that well unless those are rolled
He
down.
don't ever, he just telling me.
I'm acting like I'm a professional athlete, I know.
I mean, you tell me.
I don't know. I really don't. I mean, I'm not a walker.
Well, I mean, all I'm
Big
doing,
Pop, can you weigh in on this first?
I'm just
Weigh
getting,
in
this
on
is the
it, then you
feedback
gonna
that
be
was, people that said that we need a place for
how wide is a regular sidewalk? 3, 4 feet?
4 foot residential typically, yeah.
What about city?
City's about four feet, yeah. But you've usually typically got a curb as part of your roadway too there though. And here, you won't have that. That's just, because that's just extra maintenance for the,
So that'd be 8 feet.
yeah. So that would
I
put
think you
you,
can get by with 4 feet, that's an opinion.
so that's,
We don't have to make that decision tonight. If you want to look and see what other cities have done, I can do the same thing.
Yeah,
big-
that's
how big
Mr.
is
4
your
feet on
subdivision?
each side. Yeah.
How big is your subdivision?
How many houses? Probably 700, I think.
So it's
Wow.
yeah.
I think it's Farmington subdivision.
as much or more will, but.
It's over near the intersection of North Shore Drive and Ebenezer, in back of the Kroger there, if you ever have gone that way. I know Tim has to the doctor.
So,
I know where you're at.
so if we make them pave 20 foot wide, and then if we go 4 foot on each side, and that's 28.
So you're making them pay 28 foot?
Well, does that make it safe? Does that allow you
Yep.
to walk facing traffic both ways?
Well, yeah, you're not using 20 foot of that road anyway.
Well, I know, but you know,
So, yeah, it ought to be.
the 20 foot's for emergency vehicles. That's
10 foot each lane.
10 foot in each lane, and then you've got 4 foot in on each side. That's 28 foot. So they don't have to build sidewalks, but they're gonna have to pave a little bit more.
Is that still a lot cheaper?
Oh.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Especially
Plus the
maintenance.
maintenance.
yes.
Plus the maintenance on it.
Well, we're
Tremendously.
gonna take it over after 3 years anyway,
Yeah.
county is.
Well,
Tremendously cheaper. I mean,
So,
And actually, they're not
Exponential.
supposed to ride bikes on sidewalks anyway in most places.
That's true. You're not.
So I mean, the sidewalks instead of this would not
No
be,
scooters.
would not be, would not really help bicyclists. Whereas a wider road would.
I'd have them put 4 feet on each side.
okay.
so do they line it?
I
Think you better not.
I would think you would. Yeah, I think you would need to do that.
Put the lane lines in.
Lane lines in, yeah. Well, they're not gonna love us on that.
Them little reflectors.
But I think I'm asked me, and I said, well, I had some
I mean, that's,
people that asked me to put this in there.
we've been bombarded about people about this sidewalk issue and about the amenities and all that. And I mean, that's,
Well, here's the other thing about sidewalks. Because now, it used to be that when you did a subdivision, you got your mailbox right there in front of your house. But now then you don't get that. You're gonna have to do the cluster boxes. So you either have to get in your car and drive down there, or you're giving them a way to walk, a safe place to walk down to get your mail.
and that's, you know, I guess this is a reasonable solution to a change that we didn't make.
We didn't make. No. So, you know, that, of course, that doesn't help. This doesn't come into play on existing county roads because you're not gonna, you won't have that there. But in the development itself, as far as that goes, we can do that.
And probably, we might want to just have something in the subregs that say if you're extending a road in a city with sidewalks, then that they should be extended as well. You see what I'm saying? Let's say you're in Jefferson, at the edge of Jefferson City, well, which wouldn't be our jurisdiction.
I don't think we want to go down that sidewalk road.
No.
I just don't, Charlie Tipton and the road
Okay.
department do not want it in any form or fashion, and I don't think we want the maintenance, we don't want the liability issues. You know, you go down and you have somebody go in there and run over the concrete truck, and you buckle that thing. Guy comes down there in the wheelchair, and it tips him over, and he gets hurt, and then we get sued. Because it's county responsibility after, when they take that road over, that sidewalk is part of our
Yeah,
responsibility.
actually, I can't remember a time I've seen a subdivision extended on an existing street such as what I was mentioning.
One of the things,
They're almost always out in the county.
I can't remember our guidelines. Do we have things in there that requires the developer to put signs in, road
Yes.
signs in?
It's in there.
Yeah. Okay.
I
'Cause we
think
may-
it's often overlooked, but it's in there.
And they don't look when they go ask Charlie, because he makes a problem.
I know we do.
That's a
I don't
good
blame
thing.
you.
That's part of the cost of the development.
Yep. All right. So, I'm gonna
Fix it.
recap. We knew we needed some adequate building sites, so we're taking that into account right here, in the first one. We knew we had flag lots that we were trying to come up with, so we came up, I think, with something to do with flag lots. And we wanted the notation on there about no variances on the plat, so that it's shown there as something for public record to see on there.
And on that notation,
Notation, yeah.
the surveyor and the owner has to sign off that they certify that that plat meets those things that we're talking about.
Well,
Right.
wouldn't that already be when they sign off on the survey? Wouldn't that already, when he puts his name and signs off on it, wouldn't that already?
We're changing this for right now. I would like to have that, I want a verbiage in there
You
that
need to
says,
come up with something that they'll need to go by then.
So, yeah, something that they can get them a stamp and stamp it and whatever and put on there. So,
this meets all
yeah.
regulations of Jefferson County, Tennessee subdivisions.
Yeah.
Or what, I don't care what the verbiage
Planning
is,
commission or whatever.
but it needs to have that in there where they sign off that they understand it, the survey understands it, the people that are buying it, that are looking at it, understand this has been certified. So when they come in here and buy off the interweb or whatever, they don't come in here and get a lot that's got two small high points right here and a great big ditch in the middle.
Even if they buy it off the metaverse, whatever that is.
Is that like the second interweb or something?
I don't know what it is. I keep hearing it.
What's he know about the internet?
All right.
Well, I had an email machine that's broke.
All right, so section 4,
It's Magnavox.
section 4 is coming out because of the new state
And a
law.
cabinet.
But sort of in there, that what we're gonna decide is now then, that when you subdivide off an existing county road, wherever the right-of-way is established, which is the property line, the front setback will be 55 feet.
That probably needs to be put on the plan too.
Oh, it will be.
It will be, it'll have
It
to show that
has to
on
be.
there. It'll
You'll
have
have to show that on there.
Yeah, yeah. All right, and then the next one is then basically extending our street width paved area to 28 feet, which basically gives us 2 4-foot walkways on a street.
Make sure.
In
that-
line.
And that's just for the minor streets, not
That-
the main.
that's
main,
right, that's correct.
Collector streets.
Yes.
Right.
And striped.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else in there that we discussed?
Just the 7%, which I've marked up.
Right, you got the 7%, yeah.
So has he got your verbiage about the 75-foot stem? The right-of-way's got to be inside the stem.
So basically.
We need all of that
Your stem,
down in here, so
the
that
stem
when they come in,
can only be 75 feet. And then from a stem lot, the next stem cannot, it has to be 535 feet from that stem,
Yes.
is it,
spaced in between.
is it center to center, is it side to side?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think we'd be splitting hairs either way as far as that goes, because what we're trying to do is try to get them to stop doing this.
Yeah.
And so,
From one to the other, to be in between.
yeah.
I think it's gotta be 30, I
Yeah.
think the verbiage needs to say 535 feet between
Between stem lots, of the stem.
of for the stem, each
Yeah.
stem. So if this one ends here and this one starts here, there's gotta be 535 feet
Between the two.
between
Yeah.
that. But we need it down, we need those things down, especially like the 25 feet has to be, the easement has to be within the stem.
Yes, that's the other thing, the easements, if
So-
you're gonna grant the 25-foot easements, they have to be inside the stem.
So that needs to be down in verbiage, so that when they come in, Tim says, look, right here's what you've got to do. This is your only option. You still can do the 50 feet. You still got 50 feet, but here's what it has to be.
Yeah.
I got it.
So
Tell me
all
I'll
of that needs
email,
to
but
be,
you look at it and make sure we're on the right page.
Okay. So hopefully, David, if we get this written up, we have to have a public hearing, don't we? Do you feel comfortable if he gets this written up and we get you a copy, would you feel comfortable at the next meeting going ahead and having a public hearing and then adopting these?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we got to advertise for the
And
public
we
hearing.
probably should make copies available for anybody who might be interested
Okay.
at
So
Tim's
you just-
office or something.
And we need, what, 14 days?
I believe it's 14
I think
days.
it's 2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks. So I guess my question is, David, do you think you'll have these change? Can you have these changes back to me for us to review and try to get them a
Yeah,
copy, and then?
2 or 3 work days, maybe not
Okay.
tomorrow, but I'll try.
All right. Okay. Now, is there anything else in subdivision regs that we
We have not gone over the construction standards at all. Do you want to?
construction standards?
You know,
for-
like how big a base, how deep the base is, you know, crushed stone, compacted, you know.
Well, I don't.
That's pretty much standard stuff.
Are you talking
Well,
about
I-
road?
The actual construction of the road, yeah, it's in the subregs.
It's up to chart.
But I thought we would just leave that the way it was.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, that's
Yes.
fine. We just haven't discussed
Yeah, I mean,
it.
he inspects it, he says
Yeah.
yay or nay.
He
Yeah.
watches it.
I mean, we could put all the regulations we want in there, but if he says it's okay,
I think it's,
we don't have any legal standing.
well, he can't make them do anything more than what we have.
Right.
Okay, as far as that goes. But, I mean, I've talked to him about these, and he's comfortable with what we've got, and I say we just stay with it.
He's always been good with it.
Yes, he's always been good with it, yeah. I think he feels like he's getting a good road. And the thing is that what makes a good road is when you have somebody out there doing inspection. It's not so much the gravel base, the asphalt and that, whatever. It's usually your road base there where they skimp and you don't get good compaction.
You can already tell going down 411 when they
Yes.
built that new section.
Yes,
Yep.
yep.
You know, it was built quick.
Yeah, it was.
Just to refresh you, we require that, of course, the base, sub-base be graded and, all organic material removed, like tree limbs and stuff, because they rot and they collapse. That it be compacted and that we have crushed stone base of 5 inches for residential, 8 inches for commercial, and 10 inches for industrial. Then we have a prime coat and a binder,
Let me
2-inch binder for residential, what?
When we do the 28 feet, all of that has got to meet those regs. Is that
Uh-huh.
correct? Okay, I just want to
Yeah,
make sure
Yeah.
that they couldn't,
And a 3-inch binder is required for commercial and industrial. And then a 1.5-inch wearing surface, asphalt surface, if you will, for residential, 2 inches for commercial and industrial. And the minimum pavement width is 20 feet.
So
Anyway,
You're gonna make that 28.
it will be 20. Yeah, that'll change. to
we'll make it
28.
28 for the minor residential streets and such.
All right. Then I think that covers everything.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with your construction standards.
Okay, so then my thing is that let's go ahead and plan on, then at the next meeting, have a public hearing over these changes to the subdivision guidelines, and hopefully we can get them voted on and adopted.
I'll do a public notice.
I'm sure we're gonna have some people in here to talk to us.
Yeah, the only thing I say is the 10%, I think we can get some flack over that,
On the bill.
on the 10% grade on it.
Well-
That's just 3 feet and 30.
Well, so,
well, of course, they've always got the option that they can grade that lot, or grade that site. Not to grade the lot, they can grade the site, and they can make it fit.
Yep.
there's anymore, there's a lot of people that build houses and whatever. You look at D.R. Horton, before they buy a lot, they make you fix their house back. And they make you grade it to a certain compaction, and they send an engineering firm out there to check that compaction, or they don't buy the lot. They make you fix it right. So they don't buy a pig in a poke. When they buy it, they were saying, okay, I can get a house on this. This is why I bought it, put a house on there. So we're not making these people go to that extreme as far as that goes, per se, but we're not letting them sell somebody a pig in a poke that they can't build a house on.
Well, and we're protecting the buyer as much as the
Yes.
developer, because there's no question now, what we're gonna have is a certified lot in Jefferson County. It's not gonna be just a subdivision lot, but we're gonna have a certified lot here when they go to build, and it may bear out that it increases the amount of houses being brought in here. I don't know, but it will be it'll be a standard that we've at least established a baseline on.
Yeah.
And I think that'll, in 10 years, I think they'll look back and say, that wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Had we started this 20 years ago,
There would have been a lot more people, have been a whole lot happier.
we wouldn't see, you wouldn't see the 15 people that come in on a BZA every time.
Yeah.
What about
you're right.
your garages and carports? Are they still gonna moved to the back?
No, you're not.
That's a zoning
you're not doing
issue.
variances no more.
Yeah, it's a zoning and I
We need to
definitely,
address that at some point.
yeah, I want to get that changed. I'm just gonna let subdivision restrictions worry with it.
As long as we're within the setbacks,
As long as
should be okay.
Yes.
Like I say, since I've been on here, and I'm not on the BZA, but I never seen y'all turn one down.
Hey, not in my 23 years.
Well,
Well, most of them are probably justified.
some of them are, some of them
Well,
are,
some
There's
of
some of them are
lots.
questionable, granted.
some of them just don't wanna spend the money.
Yeah,
But
Some of their
irregardless,
lots
none of them
don't
ever been
allow.
turned down, so there's no need of having that rule that says you can't go through that door if everybody goes through that door.
Well, here's what, here's what's gonna here's what happens. They'll come in here and say, well, you know what, I need this variance. Well, we're not gonna give you one. And they come back in and says, well, I need a variance. Well, I already went, why? Well, I went ahead and built my garage anyway.
Make it
So we're
right.
gonna sit there and say, okay, make me tear it down?
I know of one time that happened and they didn't make them tear it down. They gave them the variance.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. They come in here and then,
It already built.
yeah, already built it, come in here and said, we need variance.
We didn't know we had that permit.
But, yeah,
We didn't know it
that's
was,
right.
you know.
Forgiveness.
So, yeah.
So is that,
I
is
think
that,
So we,
that's the right way to handle it, to not grant a variance if it's not justified.
is that something that we need to change in the building permit process and the zoning, that they have to, they've got a copy of certain things that, and they have to sign that?
well, what happens if they don't even come in and do anything, and they just build it? That's what happens.
And then,
And then they come in here and then they get caught, and then, so what are you gonna do, make them tear it
you
down?
still only got one man going around checking that stuff.
So,
It's
Oh, I think you need to get rid of the rule about the garages.
Yes.
I do too.
What I'm saying is, on this other stuff, if you're not gonna grant variances,
Just
which
do
is,
away with it.
is, you're not
Allow
gonna
it,
give
allow
any
it.
of them, but you have something here that says, these are the rules, I understand that, when I pull that building permit, I sign that piece of paper,
That's, you're talking about setbacks probably. of the house.
setbacks, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, do we need to have something in writing that makes
I
them
can see-
sign that with the building
I can
permit?
see a variance for a setback to a house or something that you all might wanna look at.
Because of topography,
Yeah,
which is why variances are really, basically the only
I
time.
wouldn't get rid of them,
Yeah,
but the building in front of the house, nobody cares about that. Maybe the neighbor that's blocking his view,
if they do, they put it in a restrictive covenant.
they do.
And
You
let
don't have
them,
that
let,
subdivision.
cause then, and then just let them enforce it, let them enforce it.
Yeah.
So I want that, I was hoping we'd get that out the last time. Cause we got it out on bigger tracks and now it's just smaller lots, so.
Yeah, I just do away with any of that and just, but I wouldn't do away with the setback variances.
No,
I
No,
mean, there won't be that many of them, but every now and then it pops up.
every now and then they're justified.
Yeah. they're-
all we're saying is
Yeah, but when
accessory
you
building
get-
in front of the house.
When you get to the plat, when you get to where these new things are, you won't have to do
You
that.
won't have to.
No, you won't have
That'll
to.
take care of that.
It'll just,
Yeah.
It's only on the
It'll
lots,
only be up-
pre-existing
yeah, that's right.
lots,
Yeah.
that you're gonna have
Yeah, you
variances.
won't have that problem once you put them rules in, no more.
Yeah,
But you will still have more Douglas Lake State and all these other things.
well, you,
Those are grandfathered lots that were built before there were
But you still gotta give them a
regulations.
variance before you get a building permit.
Well, state law says you should grant
Yeah,
variances.
you should, I ain't saying you
Yeah,
don't.
in order to prevent a regulatory taking of property through zoning.
Yeah, we probably won't turn them down, but they need to come through the process.
I think that's why you have to give them a septic permit,
Yeah.
even though they only got a 50-foot wide lot, 50-foot deep. I think it's.
Well, normally over there now, they gotta have 5 lots built in. That's get uniform.
And of course, the health department requires reserve and all that sort of thing now.
So I think we're good there, Dave. could be things that could be detrimental, per se. So I don't know, I don't know, I don't know how to make it work per se, but.
How you balance that?
Because it's gotta be fair, because if you say, we're not gonna do any more high density in the growth boundary, okay? But yet this parcel here looks like it would be a good one, and the people around it say, hey, we would really prefer you to rezone this, but if you're just gonna say, no, we can't because it's not inside the growth boundary,
Well, and I'll tell you.
is that a good thing? I don't know.
I'll tell you a good example of that, and why they did it in 98, I don't know. I suppose because it's a lot of small lots down there around Restaurant School. That's all on every bit of it. There's a whole bunch of it that's all one.
That's in the plan.
Now, that's nowhere close to any growth.
It's in the plan book there.
Now, if somebody that outside that R1 come in and wanted to rezone it, and they had to elect a 2-acre tract and wanted to do it for 4 tracts, that'd be hard to turn down right next to it, because it's not in the growth area of any kind.
Well, but that therein lies the case.
Yes, I agree.
So if you're making a decision that you're not gonna have high density outside the growth boundary. All right.
So
Then that's fine, as far as that goes.
You would never do that down there again.
But what you've got is you've got some that's out there already.
Yeah.
So you're
That's
saying
just
like
one
that
comes
property
from
in Kelly Hansen's, right
That's
there
R1.
across from,
R1.
it's R1?
Best I remember, that whole cluster down there is R1.
Even at where Kelly Hansen them's over across from the school?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'd have to go in there and look again, but a lot of that's R1 down there.
I would think where the houses are, but I wouldn't think that.
Well,
A1 or,
you know, in 98, when they did that, I don't know why they did that, but a lot of it is.
but it don't matter because they're not.
No, there's not much cutting up in there. I mean,
Well, but I'm just saying you've got pockets like
There's
that.
pockets, that's what
That come in there. So is it when you got that there per se, does that protect does the A1 hurt them or help them? Yeah, there may be fewer houses, but then there could be, either way. So I don't know.
Well, and the one thing about that down there, and I've dealt with this over the years, is 98 they wasn't thinking, because a lot of that in there is single wide trailers, and they're not allowed today.
Yeah,
And
in an R1 zone. I know.
You know, people had to buy double wides to go back in there
Yeah.
over the years, because it's R1 and single wides are not allowed.
Well, anyway, that out of everything in the growth boundary that I've looked at there, that is the one that sometimes I just scratch my head, and ever since I've been on here, I just didn't like the growth boundary for that very reason, because sometimes there was things that made perfectly good sense to do, but then yet we have to get in here, then we get in the fight. Well, you let him do it, so why can't I do it? Of course, we don't make those decisions.
No, it's up to county.
County commission makes those decisions whether or not to rezone that property. But we make the recommendation. And so once we get this established here, then as far as that goes, then this is what our recommendation should be based on. Even though we,
In the R1
even though we have
district-
gone against that at
And
times.
an R1 district outside of an urban growth boundary should be based on certain criteria, that make it compatible with that.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna spout those off right now, because I'm not really sure
But you've
if I
been pretty consistent.
nail them
in
down,
that.
but we can expand that a little bit and say that, I think we already have it in there. I'm not looking at the.
Well, I mean, I know we
But
have,
I think we have something in there about R1 that goes beyond just urban growth boundaries. So we have one policy that, higher density developments, it should be located, in the urban growth boundaries, but,
and it's the same thing, it goes back to the same thing too, when you read in here, as part of our goals was to develop commercial and establish commercial along state highways and 4 lanes and those things. It's right, it's in the thing. So we've tried to do that as far as it goes, or we've made recommendations to do that, but that's not always happened.
No, it's true.
So that's why I keep going back. And I don't know how we could do it, but my recommendation is that on those right there, that we do a commercial overlay on. and whatever's there is grandfathered. And we're saying, this is what the highest and best use is, and the best use for the county. Now, whether that changes or not is up to the property owner. But at least you're putting it on record that it could change.
So the property owner doesn't have to.
No.
That's what I thought.
They would not
Well, they're
have
not
to
going
do it. But
If some-
anybody that bought property there would know up front that there is a possibility there'll be a change in that.
Yeah, but if you go and zone all that commercial.
I don't think you don't have to
I
zone
don't
it.
think you do
You
either.
do an overlay
Yeah. I don't
That-
think you go full-blooded rezoning it.
that it's
Well,
commercial and industrial, because as much as I hate to say it, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when on a
Yeah.
4-lane road it is gonna be developed.
Oh, yeah.
But wouldn't it be easier if you had an overlay to then change the zone?
To me, if it's in the growth, if it's in our land use plan, that's our intent, to have it, to have an overlay on state highways and 4-lane roads, to promote commercial and maybe even possibly industrial use.
I think it is need to be prepared, because it's not
It's
a matter,
coming.
it's coming. And it's just a matter of how long it takes them to buy everybody out.
That's right. And you gotta have a commission, county commission, that's gonna hold steady to that.
Well, there,
But you ain't got nothing to do.
but here's the next thing is that, and I've talked about this. We're going to develop this land use plan, and we vote on it. Then that's what we're going to try to follow.
That's our recommendation.
Right? It's our recommendation. County commission does not have to adopt this.
No, they don't.
And in my opinion, if I was on county commission, I wouldn't adopt it. I think you're holding their feet to the fire too much so, to a certain extent, that if something were to happen, because it's a 10-year plan, if something happened in year 5 that could be measured to help this county, I wouldn't want to be hamstrung with them to be hamstrung in any ways
You're right.
to maybe to not have to
I
follow
mean,
this.
as a prime example, you go to West Tennessee down there, where they're putting in that Ford place.
Right.
And I mean, the little old town that it takes up there they're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But that's where Ford is gonna go in that area, and they've committed tremendous resources to the state and all that, and so, yeah, I think you've got to have a flexibility there. You can't just lock things in.
As a planning commission, I think that we can, but I don't know, I'm not gonna tell county commission how to vote. If I was there, I would think, okay, I like what the planning commission's done, and this is gonna be their recommendation that comes to us, and this is their plan, but it may not be flexible enough for us on county commission. It may be too binding, I don't know, unless we can put language in there to do that, but there again, all I'm saying is that if litigation were to occur and people says, oh no, you adopted this and you're gonna have to stay with it, and it cost this county a big development, just like we were talking about there, all because of the language that was in there that was adopted. I don't know.
But I think that overlay, I think it's, we sit in here and we fight and fuss, not necessarily us, but I mean, the commission, the recommendations, and everybody say, oh, I didn't know. That takes it all away.
Yeah.
Everybody knows where the fence is on that deal.
Yeah.
If you own on a 4-lane or a state highway,
And we could actually show that on our zoning map, could we not, that this is the overlay?
When you say overlay, I don't know really what you mean by overlay.
I'm just saying that this is an area that could be impacted,
And I
because
think that's
of what it is.
More as a recommendation as opposed to a hard
Yes,
cold.
yes.
Okay, I got you.
something that
It
says
doesn't,
that this is an impact area,
it has a
Potential
possibility
and
and
possibility.
the potential for commercial and industrial development.
It should be considered
Becau-
accordingly.
And,
for
yes,
that.
How far do you go back from accordingly?
Well, I'm saying if you look at, okay, let's say you go 200 feet, okay? All right, so once you get it zoned, per se, as far as that goes, then whatever it needs to be, if they need more, then it's not spot zoning anymore. And you could actually zone
You can
more
extend
communities.
You know, in 98, they did that 100 foot on each side of
Jefferson
92
City,
from the
yeah.
high school to Jeff City, C1.
Yeah,
Why, I don't know.
well, because
We've had to change it over the years to C2. We don't have any C1, other than that, we
Well,
nobody ever does C1.
that's
But
just,
they
that's
were
just.
thinking about that then, they just put the wrong C in there.
Well, that's
I
fine,
think.
but that, what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is that when you look at that corridor, you're thinking, you know what? A 4-lane road, it just, typically it's,
No, I'm with you. 411, 11E,
yeah.
2570,
2570,
92,
92. They should all
113.
have.
Yeah.
139,
Well, that's a 2-lane, I guess,
but it's a state corridor
but it's a
across
state
through
highway.
there.
Yeah, there's no,
I don't-
very little commercial now.
I don't think that it will do that, because I think it'll be the last one developed, but I think 92, I think 11E, 2570,
2532.
Yeah.
I think all of that, the new 66,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
all of that it should be noted on our zoning map.
Well, Terry tried that several years ago when we did the 4
And this won't,
I know, but
this wouldn't have to be a zone.
We're not rezoning,
No,
all
that's-
all we're doing is putting on notices that
Yeah.
this is
I
area,
like that part.
that
Impact
basically-
area.
I like
impact area.
I like
In
that.
other words, they're not gonna come in here and say, oh, that's spot zoning. So no, we've got in our growth, in here, in our
It's our
land use
land.
plan, that this is something that we've considered and that this is, can be rezoned to that. So,
No, I think that's a good idea.
so I definitely want,
That needs to be in the plan.
well, I mean, that's a,
It does, in my opinion, it needs to be stated in the plan that we understand that our biggest draw for logistics and infrastructure are on 4-lane highways and major state routes for commercial and industrial properties in this county. Now, that doesn't say they all have to be located there, but that's where we feel it would be recommended that they go.
That's the best place for it.
That's the best place for it, because we're not building a brand new road 15 miles into the industrial complex.
Well, we don't want commercial on Dumping Valley and.
You don't, no,
Rocky
but what we're
Valley.
saying is up front,
You don't want it there.
these are impact areas in our county. If you come here, you need to understand that you could be potentially impacted either next to you, 5 miles down the road, you're gonna have to pass it going to store, whatever it is,
I
understand.
wish they'd have done that in 2010.
I wish they'd have done it in 98.
Well, I wish they'd done it in 78. But, if we'd have had zoning in 78, it'd be a whole new ballgame around here. But we're 28 years too late.
all right.
But we finally got it, so.
Okay. All right, so is there anything, I mean, any other thing that was there? I mean, I know some of it's just number, Dave, and some of it's just data that's gonna be changed because it's just updated since it's been 10 years. But was there anything else? Because as I read through it in that last little bit, what are your objectives and goals with this? And it was basically, one of them was that the county commission should work to develop industrial parks. Well, that hadn't happened.
That's never gonna happen.
Okay, so should that even still be put in there? Do you think that's, do
Well,
you
they
think
should
that's?
work toward it, but they.
I think
Well,
that,
I'm
I
just-
think that's gonna be part of this step we're taking, Terry. I think that by us making this and saying these are impact areas, and we're saying
we want commercial and industrial development in this county. We want it in a controlled area. And here's where we think, County Commission, you all need to be looking.
And
Don't go-
policies might state that the infrastructure needs to be put in place over time to accommodate such activities and that sort of thing. That could be a policy, for example, without outright stating it needs to be an industrial park, because maybe it doesn't, maybe it just needs to be able to accommodate,
I'll be a business park.
you know.
I think we've got to start somewhere. And I think this overlay impact area is a excellent way to start this thing. Cause we're saying up front that this is where we want to head. We made a lot of mistakes, but here's what we want to do. And we want everybody to know what we're doing. We're doing this transparent. So everybody understands where we are going.
Okay.
We're not just.
And in conjunction with this, one of the goals will be to increase the revenue of the tax base in Jefferson County for the betterment of the citizenry. Something along those lines, you're going backwards with it, starting small and going.
So if you
That's really what
if
this
you
is
put that
about.
overlay out here, Mr. David, you're saying that if you want to go to Strawberry Plains or if you want to go to Newmarket, we're not talking about going out Buck Hollow Road with industrial development. You want to get out there, quality of life, you want to have 5 acres, have a horse, whatever, you need to get off these roads. You need to get away from there. Because that's not where that's going to be.
And this will all be directed that way.
Okay.
So it'll be goals, objectives of the
And I
county
hope in the next 10
for that to
years, we
happen.
have a lot of
What?
a lot of commercial property or industrial property, because we're way, way behind. We cannot continue having these houses continue.
All right.
Period.
So
Did we answer any of your questions? I guess.
Yeah, I think this is real good.
we're doing this and we're still policy based on our land use plan.
Yes, and that's the best way to do it.
Rather than being a hard thing about it's gotta be right here.
Right,
What
yeah,
we're
it needs to
doing-
be flexible.
We need to be policy based. We don't need to pick a pen and drop it in and make it fit.
Yeah.
What we need to do is have the flexibility and have that land
When
use
this
plan.
original plan was done, we were told to do a policy plan. And Jefferson County was on board with it, the planning commission, the county commission adopted. Everybody was on board with a policy plan because it offered the flexibility to adapt to changing conditions. Changing economy, whatever,
Well, you don't know.
Get
I
the
mean,
land
we
use-
didn't know that we were gonna be in a pandemic. We didn't know we was gonna
Have a housing boom.
have a housing boom, a third housing boom. We didn't know that we were gonna be wired for Appalachian was gonna be able to wire most of the county for people to work from home, and that they wanna come here for that.
we didn't know cryptocurrency was coming, we didn't know solar farms were coming, we didn't know.
Yeah, so I think what we're saying with this, and this is a first step in it, and we may need to look at this thing not just at 10-year intervals or 20-year, but look at it as a living
A
document
living organism, yes.
that we keep
Yeah. Needs to be
looking at
reviewed.
every 3 to 5 years, rather than waiting, hey, it's expired, let's do something.
Yeah.
Well, really, it probably hasn't technically, it
It's
really
the
hasn't
policies.
expired because there's an arbitrary date on there, it was
Yeah,
10
it's-
years.
Yeah, and you
A
could
lot
have
of
put
the
it,
stuff that's in there is still very relevant, I believe.
yeah, and the goals and stuff that we're talking about tonight are the very relevant goals that we still are striving towards.
Yeah.
It has goals in there about quality of life, it has goals in there about industrial development, commercial, all that, and
Residential,
those are the
everything,
same things. I mean, you're not fundamentally changing what
No.
we've got in there, are you?
No, we're tweaking it, we're are gonna enhance it. And what you gave me tonight is very good. I'm right on board with you.
Okay.
I think it's excellent.
All right.
Could you get that right?
Anything else for David on that? All right. We can move on to other business. To give you an update, we met with a group of people at Tim's office. They're gonna do a BESS, which is a battery energy storage system, or they wanna do one. They'll probably be coming before us next month, I think, with a plan, and it will probably come before the Board of Zoning Appeals to make a determination of whether or not it's gonna be allowed, and it would be in an A1 zone. What this is it's a lithium battery storage thing that's gonna be adjacent to the TVA substation down at Bays Mountain. It's where the site that they're looking at. They'll have about 7 acres there. They will put this in there, and what it does is that during peak power times, they would draw power from TVA, charge up these batteries, store the power, and then when they need it on demand time, up to 4 hours, as far as it goes, the most they have, then they would put it right back into the system. So it just acts like a big battery, basically what it boils down to. Now, that being said, they are lithium-ion batteries, so there is some concerns there that come into play. And two of my concerns were, what I'd like for y'all to do is, if you can, do some research on these yourself, so that maybe you can familiarize yourself what's going on. My concern was I had two. One is if there was a fire, because we have volunteer fire departments as far as that goes, what would we be able to handle that fire? Would we have the equipment based on our departments and everything? And so I've reached out to some of the fire chiefs to look at it and everything. Well, this group has offered to meet with the fire chiefs and everything else that does they know how to fight the fires. I guess they would provide the training for the fire departments, and they're also the group that my other concern is that when this thing has run its lifespan, okay, when it's over, who cleans up the mess? And so this same group that fights fire, they clean up the mess. But the key is that, and we talked to them about it, is that I want some sort of a bond in place that if they go belly up or whatever, that Jefferson County is not on the hook for the cleanup and for the batteries. And so somehow we've got to get a number for that. And they didn't have an issue with that at all. So
What about when they clean it up, that it not be placed in our landfill?
Yeah,
That's in there too.
it's in there too. That in there that basically it stated was
Terry brought that up.
that they would have to take it to a site, out of county site that handles that kind of hazardous waste to dispose it, for it to be disposed.
They had everything covered, I thought.
Well, I mean, when I looked at it, those are the two things that jumped out at me first. If our firefighters go in there, and of course, here's the thing: is the more and more electric vehicles come out, they're going to have to learn how to fight these fires anyway. So if this company provides the training, and here's the thing: if they come in and tell me, says, "Well, your fire department needs this, this, and this," I may come up to these people and say, "You know what? We don't have
the check.
Write the check." Well, it's only fair.
Do that.
It's only fair.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with you.
I mean, we don't,
They're using a resource here, which is our land and air and environment.
yes. And
How
so,
big is this?
68, did you say?
no, it's 7, they're getting about 7.5 acres,
Yeah.
is what they're gonna
That's what
get.
we did.
Yeah. And,
That
so,
lithium probably, if it does burn, it's probably poisonous gas, isn't it?
well, that's some of the questions that I want this company to answer, The problem is that you can't put a lithium battery, you can't put it out spraying water on it. And sometimes you can't put it out spraying foam on it. They tell me that what you have to do is that you're supposed to pick the vehicle up, have a big tank of water, and stick it down there and submerge it completely. Now, I don't know how in the world you're going to be able to do that on something this big. But,
Sounds like trying to put a round wheel out.
well, my thing was that I saw some of these things that had fire suppression systems built into them. And I mentioned that. as far as that guy. And I don't think they were too receptive to it, but they said, because I said, listen, guys, I said, I'm dealing with volunteer fire departments here. We don't have the equipment to fight a fire this big here. And I said, and so when he sent me an email back the other day, and I said, oh, and by the way, I said, we do mutual aid with the local fire departments all the way around here. So I said, that training really needs to be for all of them. I said, because when they come here to help us fight the fire, they're going to be in the same boat as we are. And he said, no problem.
No, I don't see him ever fired all I have.
No problem. He said, we'll do it.
They don't care.
So,
These people are out of Texas,
yeah.
and they've done this in Hawaii and several other places. Did they say Arizona?
Yeah.
So curiosity,
Why did they pick here?
why did they pick Jefferson County?
Because we have
Piedmont.
we got a TVA substation right there.
Okay.
That's what they got to
We would
have.
have thought that they were coming in here having something to do with the solar farm.
Yeah,
That was
well,
that was my first thought.
TVA said that they got to have 500,000 gigawatts of reserve power. And so there's going to be, this is one way that you do it. You get it through this battery storage. Okay, because this will be about 250
So,
megawatts is all this will be. So there's going to have to be more of these other places in other words to have that backup storage.
but wouldn't this fit, instead of A1, wouldn't this fit in like the C3 or where we're putting crypto? I mean, some of the restrictions on it, because
We could.
if you do that, then you're grouping like kind of things, because I don't know what the noise is. I don't know what the impact on that is if you're doing that. And I'm not on the BZA.
Well,
But if you put that, if you group those things in that, then it keeps it all.
But the trouble you'll have with that is they gotta be close to a substation.
so you'll have to get a rezone. You'd
Well,
have
I
to-
mean, you.
for this
you
property,
can't-
you'd have to have a rezone then. I think that's right.
I don't
You're looking at
see
the
how you do
same.
that.
This functions somewhat like a substation.
It is like a substation.
Yeah, I mean,
to a certain-
if they're gonna do 7 acres, you know how much buffer you put.
Well,
like the-
I don't see it no different than substation, as far as allowing it in the zone.
It's gonna function a whole lot like part of
Here's the
the
thing,
system.
we don't have any say about the substation.
No, but they're
TVA,
allowed A1.
I understand, but
That's the only say we got about it.
Appalachian, you know, I mean, it's just there because that's where they were all,
Right.
they were stuck out in the country.
Well,
That's what
because-
going on is,
Yeah. So here, here's the only thing is and I started scratching my head over that. I'm thinking, why didn't TVA just build this? And I couldn't. And I was thinking to myself as far as that goes. And so, but my thing is that I'm not sure. It's got something to do with the money that the federal government's out here putting out here. And I'm not sure as TVA as a federal entity can get that money, but a private group can.
But
So
TVA would pay them, right?
TVA pays them.
Yeah.
TVA provides the power, they put it in their battery, and then TVA pays them to hold that battery, that power in that battery
that's
until
how
they
they
need
make
it.
And then pays them off the peak, the difference between what the buy is and what the peak is.
Peak is, yeah.
Probably.
And then, because I asked him, I said, I know the county's going to get some taxes off of it, and I think it's just property taxes, okay? But then they have to have power themselves because they have some cooling fans and everything else. Well, they're going to buy that power from Appalachian because Appalachian's got a substation right there beside of it as well. So my thing is that, and I thought my thinking was first thing was the same yours. I said, well, we already got something that taken care of with that Bitcoin thing, but I'm not sure it is the same. It is sort of, but it's not. And so the thing is they have no choice here. That they have no choice. They've got to be right beside this substation, and
Close to it anyway.
they got to be
Does
there.
not mean you can't use that zone
Well, you can if
and the restrictions you've already got in it.
Well, you can. So we created a brand new zone there called I-3 for that. So the question is, when they come in here, is it our recommendation going to be it needs to be rezoned to I-3. That's,
Well, the first thing you gotta do is you gotta figure out BZA, whether or not you're gonna allow it in A1.
well, I know it, that's what I'm saying, but then we'll probably gonna have to make a recommendation. No, we don't feel like this should be in an A1, we feel like it should be in an I-3.
Well, you've got none of the restrictions, and looking at it, you've got none of the restrictions that it needs to have for cooling fan noise, for buffers, for all of that in A1.
Yeah, but I think you can do that with the site plan. They're not
Well-
gonna come back with the site plan. for
No, we can put restrictions on that.
I think so.
Yeah, we can put restrictions on that.
They seemed very willing to work with us, didn't they, Terry?
Yeah, I mean, their thing is before they go any further with this, if they can't get it where they need it, then there's no need for them to go on. Because he told me it would probably be 2026 before the thing ever gets built. I mean, that's what he talked about it. I think he said it would take, I think that's right.
You know, I don't even know if they'll come next month. They're not in a big
Well-
hurry. It's coming to BZA.
No, I'm just saying that he told me that, actually, he told me that they probably wouldn't have their site plan ready till February,
Yeah.
or something like that. But he says, this is the first step. If they're not gonna allow it in this zone, then they gotta go and say, okay, so where can I put it? Or what zone do I need? And then if we say, okay, we feel comfortable with an I-3 and these are the, what we're gonna put on you as far as the setbacks and everything else for this particular use, and if they can live with that, then boom. Then it's up to us then to make the recommendation to county commission to rezone the property to I-3. And
Or
then
you
county,
need to go talk to Jay.
well, or county commission is gonna have to sit up here and,
Need substation they build over on Flag.
but that's not TVA.
That's
Oh,
Appalachia.
that's right.
They've got to be beside a TVA substation. They've got to be beside a TVA substation, because they're getting their power they're getting their power from that substation to charge the batteries.
Yeah.
Okay. Curiosity question then.
Okay?
Why don't they locate on TVA land?
Well, that was one of my questions. I don't understand that either. Because they
Why-
could have went to
why would
Douglas
they-
Dam or Cherokee Dam, either
They could have
one.
went to either one and sit there on the ground that they own, because there's plenty of ground there.
But here's the thing. Who's to say they're not gonna do that? Because if you remember, they said, the TVA said, we gotta have 500,000 megawatts of backup power. So who's to say that that's not gonna happen? It could,
I
yeah.
understand that, but why wouldn't they
wouldn't
do
come to us then.
why wouldn't they do the first one in-house?
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Say it's gonna be near Bays Mountain?
There's a substation there.
Lafayette Road.
Lafayette Road.
That substation on Piedmont.
Okay.
So,
Right there where you come out the old store.
yeah, see, that was one of my things, was that it makes perfect good sense. Why wouldn't you just go there? Because you've already got, your distributions and substations already built there. I don't know. And here's the thing, it's not to say that they're not gonna do that, but they may need more than that, so.
And I realize they're doing the more, but if I was doing the first one, if I was building a dairy
Yes,
and I wanted to pattern, I would put it somewhere would be the very easiest I could do, had the least restrictions. And if TVA wanted me so bad, they would let me do that right there, because the transmission length and everything would be,
I don't know.
And
That's the question you can ask. Well, you.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
they got the ground that we don't have control of. They would totally bypass all of that step.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't ask those questions. My two main concerns were, after I did the research on it, my two main concerns were, if I had a fire, how would I fight it? When you get done, how do I get rid of it? And so.
And I think those are legitimate.
And, and then, but like I say, all I'm doing it today is telling you that they're gonna be here. And if you wanna do some research on it, and that way you may have some questions I hadn't thought about, and just, they'll be here to
And the
ask.
company is called Plus Power.
Yes.
Plus power.
PLUS
How
Power.
big's the battery?
Oh, they're huge, big containers.
Yeah, like big, like the
But
ones,
most-
like those
most of the-
intermobile
The
containers.
solar panels take up most of the area, right?
There's no solar panels.
Oh, got nothing to
they're
do with
not.
solar.
Oh,
No.
okay. That's
Simply storage.
See, first thing I thought was it would, I said, how are they gonna get your power in that phone? Man, they're gonna have a solar farm. That's what first thing I thought. Well, no, I get to thinking, gosh, golly days, 250 megawatt. Well, they'll need 500 acres of solar panels out there to create that kind of power. And I thought, that's probably not gonna happen. So the next thing I thought was, oh, somebody's wanting to put a cryptocurrency there and they're gonna provide them the power, but that wasn't the case either. It was, so it was something I hadn't even thought about.
It's called a BESS.
Yeah,
that's not it.
okay. All right, well, anyway, I just want to put that in there, out in front of you, to let you know that that's probably gonna be here at the next meeting.
At the next meeting.
Yeah, and there was one other thing. and
Right
I-
there's a picture of the batteries.
Yeah, there you go.
The other question was that the guy that, for English Mountain Spring Water, that on the distillery, did he get the letter?
Yeah, he's good. He's good to go.
Is he good to go?
Yeah.
So is he gonna just do it?
Inside, he wouldn't build
It's
it.
nothing built, it's all inside
It's
the
all
existing
inside the
building.
warehouse.
No, yeah, but is he gonna do a micro distillery
Yeah, it's whatever was allowed in the,
in the A1 zone?
A1.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so
We give him the letter.
so he's not gonna really come in here, he don't need any kind of
no,
rezoning?
no.
Okay,
We got him fixed up.
all right. Well, that's all I had. Anything else? If not, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn.
Motion
I said,
and second. All in favor?
uh,
All right.